Hi, it's Steph Solferini here, founder of the Marco Polo Group. We help to strengthen, scale, fund, and exit businesses for CEOs for stellar prices. And we've been doing this for 30 years and it worked very well. Today, I wanted to speak to you about the process when you're trying to sell your business beforehand. Make sure that you are ready to get into battle and have a fair chance of winning. And one of the steps that I tell CEOs to pursue when they come to me and say, well, how do I do all of this properly? Do I just go out and do it? I said, no. You've got to take a few years to do several steps that are outlined in the videos before. And once you've got these lined up, like with your business model, the message, the structure, the team, the registry, the operations for scalability, minimizing the transfer risks, only then, and this could take 18 months or 2 years, only then you get ready. And when you're ready, you've got to make sure that beforehand you've assembled an A team to compete against the big boys, because your private business or your small listed business is not going to be able to compete with the huge infrastructure and resources of the big end of town. And it causes a massive disadvantage, which they fully capitalize on in order to minimize their risk and get the best acquisition price and put all of the contingent liabilities on you without you knowing. So what am I talking about? Well, maybe I can explain it from practical experience, both when I was in private equity and as a strategic buyer, and when I was an investment banker representing either the buy side or sell side. It became very clear to me what the game was. The investors are specialists in contract negotiation. So it's one of the key skills that they have. They do this all the time. And so they've got the best contracts, they've got the best teams, they can afford it, because if you're even a small PE group with $1 billion under management, that means you get $20 million in fees. That means that you can spend millions of dollars on the best lawyers, the best structures to win that game. And they practice and practice and practice, just like you spend your time on the business. They're practicing contract negotiation all the time. And so there's a very unfair advantage because you're doing this for the first time, or if you're an experienced CEO like the ones that I've worked with as well, maybe they've done it 3 times in their life, but no more than that, right? Most of them have done it 0 times, and it's their first time. So the first time is the time when they go on the pitch, and it's the grand final. And so you really need to give yourself a fighting chance, because to give you an idea, when you're in private equity or in strategic buyer, I worked for a $500 billion company. So I was on the head acquisitions guy. I had a team of hundreds of people, and they would send 20, 30 people just to do due diligence on your business. Sometimes I had more people in my due diligence team than in their headquarters. I mean, it's crazy, right? So you go in there, they go through absolutely everything. They ask of you things like data rooms and information that you can barely afford to have. And if you have, it's done sort of amateurly, and that gets reflected badly on your valuation. You need all that organized and done well, and that takes time. And so you need an A-grade team. And what do I mean by that? What's in an A-grade team? Well, you need to have your own company accountant who's at level you can compete with those guys. You need to have your own personal accounting staff so that if you exit, you minimize your tax. And then you come in with the big guns, a proper corporate lawyer that is a specialist in sell-side transactions, investment banker who's a specialist in mid-market transactions. I did that for many years before I did this, and went into private equity. So I learned all the ins and outs of the de-risking process that I talk about. You need to have advisors, such as I am, who've done this many times. I've been on all sides of the table to help you with the tricks of the game when you're in the ring, right? So that they're by your corner and make sure that you don't get screwed. And it's really, really important that you do this, because typically when I would come down on these poor smaller companies, I would be there with the best corporate lawyers, the best contracts. We would have 100-page contracts, things like that, put on these poor entrepreneurs. They would come up with like their local personal lawyer that had done their accounting for 30 years. He was completely out of his or her depth. And then they'd have transactions where they didn't read the small print. And if something went wrong in the post-transaction process, the liability went on the side of the entrepreneur. And so the entrepreneur could lose a lot of the money that he or she was getting on the sale and recoup that to the investor. There's all these tricks that you've got no idea about. Now, if you get yourself a decent mid-market lawyer, mid-market investment banker, an A-team, right? You will be okay. An advisor, my sort of caliber to help you with all of that, you'll be fine. But if you're not, you're going to get screwed in all likelihood, and you're going to leave millions of dollars on the table. So one of the key steps is get all that in place. You need help in implementing all of this so that you are going to definitely succeed in this process like we've done with hundreds of our CEOs. Give me a call. We'll discuss how to do it. We'll get you to win. I look forward to speaking to you soon. All the best. Bye.